Hey everyone, this is Teacher Katie with another grammar point for you. Today we are talking about gerunds and infinitives. And specifically, we're talking about them as the direct object of a verb. Let's get started. Gerunds and infinitives are verbs that act like nouns. As I mentioned, they can be the direct object of a verb. I have two sentences here. She likes reading, and he wants to read. How many verbs do these sentences have? Do they have one verb or two? Let's see. Reading and to read look like verbs, but really they are acting as nouns in these sentences. Let's check out our first sentence. We have the subject is she. Our verb is likes, and our object, or our noun here, is reading. In our second sentence, the subject is he, the verb is wants, and our object is to read. So, let's look at reading first. This is actually a gerund. As I mentioned before, it's acting as the noun or the object of this sentence. So, don't get confused. Gerunds are not the same as progressive tense. Notice we don't have a be verb in this sentence. We have the verb likes. In our second sentence, we have to read. This is an infinitive. Gerunds are formed by adding the base form of the verb plus ing. Here's an example for you. I enjoy swimming. We are taking the verb swim and we're adding ing. But notice we still have to follow spelling rules. And when you change swim to a gerund, you need to double the M. In our second sentence, Josh quit smoking, we took the verb smoke and added ing to turn it into smoking. Again, we need to follow spelling rules and delete the E in this word. In my third sentence, Anne finished studying, we took the verb study and added ing. So our gerunds in these sentences are swimming, smoking, and studying. And our verbs in these sentences are enjoy, quit, and finished. Again, remember, a gerund is not the same as the progressive form of a verb. Instead, it is acting as a noun, or the object of the sentence. Let's look at infinitives now. Infinitives are formed with the word to plus the base form of the verb. In our first sentence, he tries to drive carefully, we have the word to plus the base form drive. Our next sentence says, Susan decided to watch a movie. Again, we are taking to and we are adding the base form watch. In the final sentence, it says, we can't wait to go to Paris. We're taking the word to and adding the base form go. Our infinitives in these sentences are to drive, to watch, and to go. And our verbs are tries, decided, and can't wait. Remember, our infinitives are acting as nouns. There are three types of verbs that you need to know of. There are verbs that only take a gerund. There are verbs that only take an infinitive. And there are verbs that can take either a gerund or an infinitive. Now, I wish I could tell you that there's some easy way to remember which ones are which, but unfortunately there isn't. This is just something that you will have to practice and study, and it will take time to learn which verbs go in each group. Today we are only going to be talking about the first two groups. We'll talk about the third one in our part 2 of this lesson. Here are some common verbs that only take a gerund. Enjoy, finish, quit, mind, postpone, put off, keep or keep on, consider, think about, talk about, discuss, avoid, recommend, miss, imagine, and practice. You might want to write these down. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to. Let's move on to some practice. Here I have some sentences. We need to change our verb to a gerund in these sentences. So pause the video so that you can write down the correct form and complete the sentences above. Go ahead, pause it now. Welcome back. Let's check your answers. Number 1, I enjoy watching movies. Number 2, he finished writing his essay. Notice we had to delete the E when we wrote writing. Number 3, she put off calling her mother. Number 4, we thought about going to Europe. Number 5, would you mind closing the window? Notice again we deleted the E. Number 6, my parents discussed selling their house. How'd you do? Did you get them all right? Let's move on. Here are some verbs that only take an infinitive. Again, you might want to pause the video so you have time to write them down. Want, need, would like, would love, hope, expect, plan, decide, promise, agree, refuse, learn, get, deserve, ask, and choose. Let's do some practice with infinitives. I've changed the verbs in these sentences. They're verbs that must take an infinitive after them. So, number 1, notice I changed the verb to want. Go ahead and pause the video now so you have time to write your answers. Welcome back. Let's check your answers. Number 1, I want to watch movies. Number 2, he needs to write his essay. Number 3, she plans to call her mother. Number 4, we would like to go to Europe. Number 5, would you promise to close the window? Number 6, my parents refuse to sell their house. So let's do some practice. Here I have those lists of gerunds and infinitives again. I would like you to pick 3 words from each column and make a sentence with the gerund or with the infinitive. Remember, gerunds and infinitives are not the verbs. They're the noun or the object of the sentence. So we're going to take the verbs in this list, such as avoid, and then you're going to add a gerund after that. So we aren't taking avoid and changing it to avoiding, but instead we might say that I will avoid doing my homework. Notice, my gerund in that sentence was doing. Alright, go ahead. You can pick any 3 words from the gerunds and any 3 words from the infinitives. Make a total of 6 sentences, and we'll check them together in class. Until next time, this is Teacher Katie with Grammar Points.